So do people who live in Las Vegas all just go gamble on the Strip every day? I don't think so. And I know if you were thinking about moving here to Las Vegas, Nevada, then you're wondering, what will you do as a local? What kind of entertainment's available? These are important questions, and I get them all the time. So that's what I'm going to talk about all through this video. Are you ready? Here we go. Hey everybody, it's your host here, Dave Baker with VegasAgents.com. Of course, if it's your first time on the channel, make sure that you tap that little subscribe button and click that little bell so you'll be notified every single time I put out a new video all about living in Las Vegas. Now, in this video, we're going to talk all about what it's like to be a local. What do you do here for fun? And while we're talking, I'm going to take you on a tour through the town square, which is in the southwest part of Nevada, just off Highway 15. It's a really cool outdoor shopping area for locals with tons of entertainment, and it's a great place for me to start talking about all this. So let's get started on our tour as we talk about what do locals actually do in Las Vegas. Okay, now the first thing I have to address is what I said in the intro. It's a really common question that people seem to ask me, and I understand why. It's because most people, when they come here, they're tourists, so they think a little bit differently about how a local might live. So one of the most common questions I get is, does everybody there just gamble all the time? Does everybody there go to the Strip? So that's actually two questions. It's kind of like asking people in Hawaii. If you live in Hawaii, does everybody go surfing? Does everybody eat seafood all the time? Well, and the answer, just like Hawaii, is probably the same here in Las Vegas. And the answer is, some people do and some people don't, right? So let me give you some examples. Let's first talk about the gambling thing. Yes, gambling is widely available here in Las Vegas. It's no secret. It's everywhere. I've talked about it in the video. You have it at the supermarket, you've got it at the laundromat, you've got it at the mini mart, all kinds of places have it. And does that mean people really partake in it? Some do and some don't. What I found is those locals who like to play, they generally seem to play at the locals' casinos. So that means they're playing off the Strip, right? They're not playing at the famous places that you think of. I'm sure there are some people who do, and they probably have a really good status with those casinos, so they get a lot of perks. But we're not talking about playing at some of those world famous places, right? Like Caesar's Palace, or playing at Harrah's, or the Bellagio, or the Venetian. We're talking about locals playing more at casinos you might never even heard of, such as Green Valley Resort. People usually call that GVR, or the Red Rock Resort and Casino, commonly referred to just as Red Rock. Now don't confuse that with Red Rock, the national park that's very close by where people go hiking and where you might find me quite often. So yeah, the deal is just like that. Some people play, some people don't. Some people really enjoy it. Some people do it for the free stuff. Keep in mind that people who are, shall we say, active players tend to get a lot of perks and benefits, from free buffets to free gifts, concerts, invitations to different events. It's got its perks, right? Let me talk about that second item too. Do locals hang out on the Las Vegas Strip? My answer is going to be not really. Sure, a lot of people. It's a busy day here at the town square. Okay, a lot of people work on the Strip or have employment related to the Strip, but that doesn't mean they go hang out there. Usually you go to the Strip when your friends come into town and they want to go to like a famous restaurant. But let me tell you what we really do. When you live here, you're not thinking about going to the Strip. That's for vacation. So let's touch on some of the key things that locals like to do. Since we've talked about eating out, I think we have to talk about that. So I'm going to put that as number one on the list. Las Vegas has a ton of dining out options. Yeah, Las Vegas has numerous places where you can go eat. Now here where I am right now in the town square, which is one of my favorite malls because it's got this really cool style, is that you have not just chain restaurants. Of course, this is a shopping center. So we're gonna have, some chain restaurants, of course. Behind me you see like the Coffee Bean and things like that. But let's look at some of these other local places, right? Those are just two of the names here that you see that are, for the locals and for people who want to try something new and, of course, support small businesses, right? This shopping center, like so many places in Las Vegas, has so many different local food and dining options. They also have some of the same things you would think were for tourists, but for locals, right? So you're gonna have local nightclubs, local places to go dance, local bars. And when I say local, again, what I mean is, not a big national chain. And I think people who live in Las Vegas, whenever I talk to my friends, we're always looking to try something new because we have so many options. That's what's so cool. I love having options for entertainment. And, even if you have a family, there are a lot of family-friendly restaurants as well. Now, there's much more than just dining out, but I do want to mention something. On special occasions, sure, we go to the buffets, okay? So on some special occasions, we're going to go to one of those famous Las Vegas strip buffets. I've got one of my favorites, where else are you going to get all-you-can-eat seafood at such a price, right? So sure, we go there sometimes, to be fair. Okay, as for other forms of entertainment, let's talk about number 2, is the festivals and fairs and other events. So Las Vegas has tons of conventions, and I will tell you that as a local, yeah, people do go to the conventions too. Sometimes they're for business purposes, but sometimes they're also for fun, right? There are a lot of cool conventions, whether it's like shows for people who like pets, there are family shows, there are fashion-related things, all kinds of conventions. You also have tons of festivals. You don't just have those huge like rock festivals and music festivals and things like that. You have local festivals just like anywhere else. But I think because we have so much available outdoor space, you have more options. I mean, with everything going on in the world right now, obviously there aren't so many festivals and conventions. But prior to that, and hopefully very soon again, we're gonna see even more fairs and things like that locals go to. I've been to like food events, I've been to swap meets. We still have the farmers markets, which is really cool. There are different neighborhood farmers markets. Some of the farmers markets were offering a drive-through option, but I've noticed they're back to walk-through options because I walked through. So do keep that in mind. We have that same stuff that you might have in some other cities. Like if you're coming from a small town, the reality is you might not have that many festivals. You might have a farmer's market once a month. Maybe it's only in a small season, but it's totally different here. I feel like we constantly have some type of local things like that you can go to, which I like to go to on the weekends, just to get out of the house and do something different. Now, I just want to take a second. As we walk through this shopping center, I'm not going to be able to show it all to you. It's so big. I love this place. I'm just going to do a quick turnaround so you can see some of the stores. There are so many stores here. I'm going to have to make a much longer video to give you a full tour, but soak in what you can while we're walking. Okay, let's talk about the next item on the list. Number 3, that is going to be getting outdoors. I know, you probably think of Las Vegas as just the desert. Okay, don't think that the desert weather is not good most of the time. So if you've watched my other videos, you know that I like to say there are 3 great seasons here in Vegas, right? So you've got fall, you've got spring, and you've got winter. The winters are super mild, so that means you can still get outdoors. And what types of things can you do here if you want to get outside? Well, first of all, there's hiking. You've got, of course, Red Rock Canyon, which is going to be probably one of the most famous places for getting outdoors here. At Red Rock Canyon, you've got hiking, rock climbing, bicycling. I see people just kind of doing walking tours. There are easy trails, and then there are difficult trails. When you go in there, we're gonna let that plane go by. Okay, when you go into Red Rock, it's so interesting because sometimes you'll look on a rock really far away that's really high up and you'll see people scaling it, like climbing it. And wow, I mean, I never even realized rock climbing was such a big thing, but it really is. And when you're out there, you can see a lot of people doing it. Red Rock is not the only place you can do this stuff though. In the area where Red Rock Canyon is, I want you to remember that there are numerous other places you can go hiking that are like state parks and similar types of setups, right? Like, because Red Rock is a really big, significant, well-known one. But there's so much more to that neighborhood than just Red Rock. There's also a driving tour in there. So for me, just so you know, I decided I would just get the annual pass because it's really cost effective. It's like the cost of 2 entries. So if you think you're going to do that a lot, by the way, make sure you get the annual pass if you find that it's a reasonable price. That's the pass to bring your car or your motorcycle in, right? Now, some people do like to park outside. There's a free area where you can park outside. So that is an option for people as well. Okay. Now, what else do you have with the outdoors? Well, I want to tell you, we have, let's turn around. I want to show you this side. Okay, we have so much to do outdoors. We have countless biking paths, okay? You've got biking in Henderson. You've got bicycling in Summerlin. Southern Highlands has some really nice new bike lanes too. The mountains, excuse me, the Mountains Edge Regional Park also has a lot of cool walking areas, and in the vicinity, you also have some bike lanes. So what I really like if I'm on my bicycle, I'm not just looking for like bike lanes on the road, okay? I'm looking for bike lanes that are separated from the road. That's the ideal setup for me. I like it when I can go biking and have the cars separated. Summerlin really has a ton of that. And additionally, Henderson has a lot of biking paths, especially the really long biking trail that goes along St. Rose Parkway. I'm going to put some information in the newsletter if you're signed up on vegasagents.com, and you'll be able to see more about where you can go biking and things like that. People obviously also use them for other things, right? You've got skateboarding, you've got e-scooters, which is something I think is really cool. And people, of course, just go walking. There are also a lot of places you can go walking or biking that are not just like bike paths that are off the road or a little bit separated, but there's this thing I really like that they've built in quite a few parts of Vegas where we can walk like along a long park. And what I'm saying is these parks go in residential neighborhoods and you start at one end and go to another. And what it is you have 2 parks. So you have one at one end and one at the other, and then a long like green belt where you walk that connects these 2 parks. There's a really nice one in Summerlin. You've also got one by Goat Park in Southern Highlands. And you have this set up in quite a few neighborhoods. So it's really cool because you're kind of walking from one major park to another, but you get this secluded area where you can go on a little tour, you know, walk around, stretch out, relax. It's pretty cool, and I think that's something that I've really enjoyed taking advantage of. Okay, I do want to touch on water activities. It's a desert, but remember, you've got at least 2 lakes where you can do water activities. First of all, of course, you have Lake Mead, right? Lake Mead, very well known. It has a boat ramp where you can launch your boat. You see other watercraft in there, and you'll see people, you know, riding around on jet skis and Sea-Doos and similar personal watercraft. It also has some beach areas where people like to sit out. Last time I was there, I did notice there were quite a few people sitting out, relaxing down on the beachy areas, kind of on the seashore. And that is definitely available if that's something you have a passion for. Additionally, you do have Lake Las Vegas, and Lake Las Vegas is a spin-off, so to speak, or, you know, it breaks off from Lake Mead. They even have down there like a boat that you can take out where you go have dinner on it, or you don't take it out. There's a captain. It's a thing you do. You sign up for it, you go enjoy like a meal down in Lake Las Vegas. And of course, in that vicinity, you do have some shops and casinos. I'm always torn about Lake Las Vegas. The question for me is Lake Las Vegas for tourists? Or is Lake Las Vegas more for the locals? I have some people I know who live out there, and they like to hang out in that neighborhood. So it seems like it's kind of built for the locals. Okay, So that's kind of the tip of the iceberg in outdoor activities. You know, we need to mention a few more things, don't we? Look, we're in the desert, right? So in the outdoor activities, you've also got to keep in mind that you have tons of off-roading stuff, right? Your ATVs, your side-by-sides, your UTVs, all that cool stuff, dirt biking. Having so much open space is amazing because you can also use that if that's something you're into. And there's a lot of land from like the Bureau of Land Management and other areas where you will be able to go and enjoy getting into the dirt, if you will. Okay, so right now, those are my top 3 things that I definitely wanted to mention, because when you live here, again, you're not really focused on going to the tourist locations. Here's something that I want to highlight, which I think this is important when you're moving. Let's say you're moving. Okay, let's try this. If you're moving from Southern California or Northern California, you're used to an area with a lot of people and a lot of things you can do. I understand. That's what you get when you live in that part of California. But if you're moving from somewhere else, okay, if you're moving from any sort of small town, anywhere slightly rural, or even if you're moving from Oregon or Washington and you don't live in the big city, you're going to get the advantages of all the things that Las Vegas has to offer. And what I mean by this is, I spent some time in a smaller town, and it was just a wake-up call for me the second I came back to Las Vegas. When you live in a smaller town, you just don't have so many things going on all the time. Here, there's always something going on. I'm not just talking about, you know, clubs and things like that. I'm talking about the fact that there's constantly people going out. So the city is really built for people being able to go out and do a lot of things. You know, you have all the shopping you need here, right? I don't like to spend too much time talking about shopping. I've mentioned it several times. It's just something that I really noticed when I just went and spent a lot of time in a small town. Being in Las Vegas, you have all the stuff you need. I'm gonna put that here, you know, let's just throw that on the list. We're gonna put that as number 4. Shopping and accessibility to local things you can do. I mean, just look behind me right now. Okay, let's take a quick peek. Something I noticed the second I came back to Las Vegas after spending a little bit of time in a small town is what I just saw over there here in this shopping center. And that is the fact that you have like all kinds of restaurants and cafes and things you can do in the evening. So what I'm talking about, like right now over there, there's a boba shop, okay, like a tea place, maybe. If you're not familiar with that, think of it as an alternative to a coffee shop. So when I was spending more time in this smaller town, what happened was I would go out with my wife, we would go to dinner, and then I would say, well, what do we do now? Like, what are we gonna do now? And I didn't want to go to a bar or anything of that nature, which is commonly open late. But here in Las Vegas, you have so many things that are open late. And the deal is that gives you something to do. Now, I know if you have a family, you might have to go to bed early. But if it's Friday night and you're on date night with your spouse or whoever you're going out with, you're gonna have so much more to do here. For example, after dinner, you know what, things don't close early here. Sure, some local places close at 8 or 9, but there's so many places that are open till 10, 11, 12. There's all kinds of, you know, dessert places, you've got the boba shops, you've got late night coffee shops, you have a lot of 24-hour establishments. You've just got all that stuff, and it's hard for me to express to you how different I felt when I was in a smaller place where there was just nothing to do at night. It's not like I'm trying to party on a Tuesday night, but I mean, I just wanted something to do. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Now, let's jump into number 5 on the list, other types of activities. Las Vegas offers quite a few other types of activities that you might not really have close to where you're located. Number 1, well, we're on number 5, but this is like subcategory number 1. I'm going to say that that's going to be shooting and going to shooting ranges. Now, I realize that not everybody is into that, but it's definitely something that's available here. If you have an interest in that, you have a lot of places you can go out and go shooting. You have it both like outdoors and indoors. So if that is something you're interested in, that's something you can really do here. I know if you're coming from Idaho and moving to Las Vegas, you might be used to that. But if you come from California, move to Las Vegas, or you're moving from New York to Las Vegas. You're probably not used to seeing something like that. You also have other types of activities that I've noticed are growing more and more. For example, I was looking at archery ranges. I laugh a little when I say it because the first time I thought of it, I'm like, what? Am I serious? Am I really doing this? But you know what? It's fun. It's cool. It's just a different thing to do on a weekend. If you're into it, it's a cool hobby. But if it's something you just want to do and try something new, that is available. I bring it up because I've noticed there are more and more places that have this. Now, you do also have day trips. That does come up in conversation too. People say, well, where can I go? Like, can I drive anywhere? Well, yes. Of course, you're a few hours outside of California, right? So we don't even need to dwell on that. Disneyland is like 4 hours away with no traffic. You've got Southern California is very close by on Highway 15, or if you're coming from California, I know you call it the 15. So you do have that as well, of course. But you can also, you go further afoot, you could go out to Arizona. You know, you've got like Phoenix, Scottsdale, all those areas. Those are not that far. They're several hours away. You also have Mount Charleston, which is going to be about 1 hour away from different parts of Las Vegas, unless you're already living up in that neighborhood. And that's going to give you actually skiing sometimes. There is a season for that. That's right, you can ski in Las Vegas. So keep that in mind as well. You have Mount Charleston, it gives you a lot of outdoor activities. You've got the snow. It's really cool. And when I went up there recently, this season, I was just mesmerized because it's like I'm living in the desert, and then let's go out there and voila, there's a mountain. It was a really cool, nice thing to see. So I wanted to highlight those as some of the main things that I think locals do in Las Vegas. And while you might notice that some of them are the same things that you do, a lot of them might be kind of cool and unique, and that's just some of the thrill of being here in Las Vegas. So now, remember, if you are thinking about moving to Las Vegas or moving to Henderson, Nevada, if you want to live in Summerlin, Boulder City, anywhere in the Las Vegas metro area, you have got to reach out to me, okay? All you have to do is tap that little bell. Oh, caught myself. Text me, send me an email, give me a call on the phone, or schedule a call in the link below. You can do that whenever you're ready, anytime. Reach out so we can get the ball rolling for you. If you use the link below, we can get you on the calendar so you can have the time all set up for you. But you've got to have a team of people who loves Las Vegas, wants to help you get the deal done, but also find the perfect place for you. And our team has a passion for living here. All right, everybody. Now make sure, of course, to like this video and click the subscribe button and drop me a comment below and let me know what else you'd like to learn all about living here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Can't wait to see you in the next video. Take care.